Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that we are going to have a live stream this afternoon, 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So hope to see you there because we have a lot to cover during that live stream. I was going to cover a lot of that during this video, but what we have to talk about today is something that I haven't heard anyone talk about. Everyone's concentrating on, oh, look at that. In the last 30 days or 60 days, whatever it may be, we've added $500 billion to our national debt, which is a huge number, and I'm not taking away from that. And we also have everyone talking about what's going on between Israel, between, Palestine, Ukraine. Everyone's talking about all of these things. But ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, the one thing that is going to bring down the United States of America, unfortunately, is not going to be wars. It's going to be the financial system. You're going to be like, holy smokes, how in the world did that go up so much just in the last week and a half or so? So let me go ahead and show you first what I mean about a week and a half or so. So ladies and gentlemen, during the October 20th live stream, I showed you all the national debt clock, very, very short, maybe a second or two. I don't even think I really went over, but I had the national debt clock up there on the 20th of October. But during that live stream, I didn't show you the part that I want to talk about now. But if you take a look at this gentleman's channel right here, ladies and gentlemen, he was going over the national debt clock as well. And what I want you to concentrate on is this right here. The unfunded liabilities, all right, the Social Security and the Medicaid, Social Security and the Medicaid numbers. This was 11 days ago. Now, like I said, most people concentrate on the national debt. Our national debt is $33,674 billion, ladies and gentlemen. And the powers that be, they don't care about how much the debt is. What they care about is one thing, and that's interest rates. Well, two things really. Interest rates, that way we don't have to pay that much interest on the debt, and that we, the American cattle, continue to work so that we can pay the interest that we need in order to be able to service the debt, no matter how high or low it is. That's the most important thing to them, ladies and gentlemen. So the US dollar, a lot of people think, well, it's backed by oil. Some people still think that it's backed by gold and stuff like that. But no, I say that it is backed by the labor of the American people. Because without our labor and without the taxation system that they have to take from us, our labor in the form of nominal dollars, ladies and gentlemen, they wouldn't be able to continue to service this national debt. That, in my opinion, is a taxation without representation scheme. Why? Because most of the money, I would venture to guess, that they spend that racks up our national debt is not something that the average person would be okay with giving their tax dollars to. But let's go ahead and take a look at the number from today, from right now as of, let me see what time it is right now. It's early. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. So as of today, around 8 o'clock, 8:12 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the number looks like as far as our unfunded liabilities. Remember, it's only 11 days old from the first chart that I showed you from the U.S. national debt clock. Let's take a look. So if you go to the bottom right hand corner of the national debt clock or the page, you'll see down here where it says Social Security liability, and you can see here that it's $26 trillion. Medicare, $40 trillion. And look at the U.S. unfunded liabilities, 200, and I would say $11 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. Do you remember what it was about 11 days ago off of the chart that this gentleman pulled up? Let's go ahead and remind ourselves. I hope that you can see this because this is a little bit blurry, but you can see here that Social Security 11 days ago was 23 trillion. Medicare was 36 trillion. But look at the total unfunded liability of the United States of America, 194.6 trillion. So in 11 days, while everyone else was looking at the national debt, while everyone else was looking at what's going on in the Middle East or Eastern Europe, take a look at what's going on right here under your noses, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be what catapults the U.S.'s financial system to being null and void, to where other countries are not going to deal with the dollar anymore. And I believe that that time is coming quicker than what many people think, because there's no way that we can continue. Let's just go ahead and do some very simple math. What is 195 trillion subtracted from 211 trillion? It's very easy math. You're looking at $16 trillion, ladies and gentlemen, that has been added to the promises that our government has made on our behalf. Yes, on our behalf, because it is we the taxpayers who directly pay for these unfunded liabilities, like Social Security, like Medicare. My pension, ladies and gentlemen, comes from these unfunded liabilities, as well as all of the other pensions from federal employees. I'm not sure how many of you know, but there are currently roughly, directly and indirectly, about 30 plus million people in the workforce that work for the federal government. Do you think maybe that the federal government's a little bit bloated? Maybe a little bit bigger? Just a little bit bigger than what our founders wanted it to be? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this $211 trillion in unfunded liability, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, affects us more as taxpayers than the $33.6 trillion in national debt. Because this national debt, what we have to do is we have to pay the interest on it. But the unfunded liabilities, ladies and gentlemen, every time that a month passes by and Social Security has to be paid, that has to be paid. Why do you think that the CPI, the consumer price indices that they come up with, they try to keep that number as low as possible? It's because that 3.2% raise in COLA for Social Security going out this next year, that is directly associated with how much we have to pay every single month. Right? It's not something that they can really control too much once they've passed the bill saying we're going to increase the price of Social Security or the benefit of Social Security by 3.2%. There's not much they can do. It's one of those expenses that by law they have to pay it out. So ladies and gentlemen, these unfunded liabilities, in my opinion, is going to end up breaking the back of the United States government's financial system, and it is why you have to get prepared the best that you can. Here is what the government takes in. It takes in roughly $4.5 trillion every year from its citizens' taxes, corporation taxes, whatever maybe kind of tariffs it may have. Anyways, it takes in $4.5 trillion. Now, let's say that you earn $45,000 a year and you're spending $61,000 a year right here, ladies and gentlemen, which means that you are spending $17,000 a year more than what you take in. How long do you think it's going to take you before you run out of credit, or before you run out of the ability to be able to pay just the interest on all those credit cards that you have in order to live above your means in the amount of $17,000 a year when you only make $45,000? Think about this. How long do you think that credit card companies are going to continue to give you credit when you're spending 30% more than what you earn on an annual basis, ladies and gentlemen? I would say not very long. When you take everything that is going on, when you take all of the fronts that we're actually fighting a war in right now, first and foremost, we're fighting a war. Well, not really fighting. We've submitted so far, as a government goes, we've submitted to the southern border. We should be fighting a war in the southern border, but we've pretty much submitted to that war. You know, one of the things, the new Speaker of the House, I think, don't quote me, his last name is Johnson or something, but one of the things that I heard him say in one of his speeches once he became the new Speaker of the House was something like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and one of the first things I'm going to do is encourage them to pass a bill to support Israel and also Ukraine, but like on different bills. I didn't hear him say anything, and I could have missed it because I don't really watch mainstream media and that kind of stuff, but I could have missed it. I didn't hear him say anything about the first thing I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do as Speaker of the House is to make sure that we concentrate first and foremost is in sealing up the southern border so that we don't have any more T-words coming in through there that want to cause harm to the people here of the United States of America, in the United States of America. I didn't hear him say that, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know, and I think we'll cover this during this afternoon's live stream, but do you know that I think it's in the last year or so, more than 65,000 Venezuelan refugees, if you want to call them refugees, have entered our southern border, unvetted pretty much. 65,000 plus, just from one country, Venezuela, which is more than what actual Mexicans are coming through the southern border. So Venezuelans are not even next to us, but they're pouring in at a faster rate than Mexicans who are actually right there, south of the border. We actually live there. They're coming in through there. But the first thing that's in the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is we have to go ahead and make sure we get funding to these other countries before we take care of our own country. You think there's not going to be a huge crash, ladies and gentlemen? The chessboard is almost complete. Oh, AP, you're being hyperbolic. That's fine. That's what you want to think. Go ahead and think that. But if that's what you think and you're using that as an excuse not to prepare, man, you are going to pay the price in a much bigger way than everyone else who's actively preparing right now for what's coming. I say it again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not something that's going to last a year or two. It started 3 years ago. Really. It got like into full steam like 3 years ago, and it's only increasing in speed. That train was going a little bit slow. Let me go ahead and tell you all, for those of you that haven't been with me for that long, I've always said that the train that we're on is going to hit a wall, a brick wall, no matter what. It depends who's in office as far as how fast that train is going towards that wall. Well, several years back, that train got slowed down a little bit, okay? But about 3 years ago, it started picking up speed. And it's going faster and faster and faster. And when it hits, if it hits here in the near future, it's going to be catastrophic. It's going to mean a lot of lives. Think about this. If we all of a sudden lose our means by which we exchange value, some people cannot conceive this notion. But if we lose our means by which we can exchange value, a lot of people will perish because it will not become a money problem, right? That's what's going to start it, a money problem. It will become a resource problem because the farmer in Idaho, ladies and gentlemen, that grows those really big, nice potatoes that people love to eat and fancy restaurants serve in New York or LA or whatever. I don't care how many people in his lineage own that farm. I don't care how many generations ran that farm before him. If he's not making a living, if his efforts are for nothing, he will not get up and raise or grow those potatoes. Because everyone that produces something of value wants something of value in exchange. And without a common monetary system, we will not be able to exchange value. And it will then become a resource issue that will be like a chain of events, one domino falling after another and another and another. So you better be preparing. This was just a snippet of the U.S. debt clock, and I didn't really show you too much, but I wanted you to go ahead and take a look at this on your own. I'll leave the link to this on a pinned comment. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this, $211 trillion in promises. And that's on top of the $36 trillion that we have as a national debt. All right, this $210 trillion is pretty much internal. It's internal. There are promises that the government has made to the people within the U.S., but that is going to be funded by the people within the U.S. That other 36 trillion, whatever it may be, national debt, some of that is internal. The $7 or $8 trillion, I believe, that was stolen from the Social Security Trust back in 1995, I think it was. So some of that is intergovernmental debt, but most of it is exterior debt, meaning debt that we owe to China, to Japan, to Australia, to the EU, to all these other countries, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so this is nothing, this national debt, compared to the actual real debt that your children will be paying for the rest of their lives. So go ahead and take a look at this and convince yourselves that you need to get prepared. Because how in the world can this monetary system go on too much longer? I know I haven't been putting up a video every single day like I normally do, but hopefully we'll pick that back up here at the beginning of the next month. Other than that, again, have a great day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.